Hello, good evening, and welcome to our new edition of English News. Tonight, as headlines, we have the head of state back in the country from Jordan.
Christian
Refugees
from Syria
claiming ISIL militant living in Germany.
Those were the top stories, and welcome to RTD's English News. The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has regained the country today after a 24-hour trip from Jordan, where he met the King of Jordan Abdullah II and took part of an important meeting with the prominent political of the world on important issues such as terrorism and extremism. Upon his arrival at the international airport of Djibouti, the head of state has been welcomed by the Prime Minister, the President of the National Assembly, the members of the government, as well as by the high civilian authorities and military of the country. The meeting brings more and more prominent and major key actors from around the world, an international, continental, and regional organization aspiring to put an end to the terrorism phenomenon.
The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has on Sunday morning on the sidelines of a meeting in Aqaba, Jordan. Many leaders from the major geographic region of the world had intervened with King Abdullah II of Jordan. The relation of a friendship and cooperation, as well as ways and means to promote and develop them, were on the menu of these talks. This bilateral meeting before the meeting that leader from the major countries of the world, Middle East, Africa, European Union, Australia, Canada, United States of America have to discuss questions related to the issues of terrorism, including the process of collaboration and coordination to enhance the regional, continental, and global level to better combat terrorism and its main features, that is terrorism in all forms. It is the third time in the Jordani city of Aqaba that this leader gathering from around the world with the aim of fighting terrorism. The Aqaba meetings intervenes periodically, and it is a platform for discussion and informal consultation between the leaders of a different region of the world to strengthen extension of a collaboration mechanism between regions, continent, and internationally to fight against terrorism. The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, belonged meanwhile with the King Abdullah II of Jordan to the narrow circles of leaders who have prepared the launch and the perpetuations of this platform. The head of state has been welcomed yesterday in the Jordan. He has been the main host. King Abdullah II had dinner last night to his honor.
The Djiboutian ambassador in Jordan, Mr. Mohammed Al-Mu'min, has made an update on the visit of the president. He said that the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, was in a visit in Aqaba, Jordan, for a high-level meeting. Many head of states and delegation took part in this meeting. The primary objective of this meeting was to see together the ways and means in the fight against terrorism and extremism, how to reinforce and strengthen the relations, and how to secure the region. This scourge is affecting the region of the Horn. Many key policymakers, such as the United States, Australia, Britain, and the European Union, took part of this important meeting, he said. This meeting brought its fruits in the framework of the fight against terrorism, and the Djiboutian president has shared his experience toward the region and his contribution by establishing peace.
The first Secretary of the Foreign Affairs Ministry of the United Arab Emirates, Mr. Khalid Ali Qaidi, came for the official cooperating of the Consul General of the United Arab Emirates to Djibouti. He was received at the airport by Mr. Yassin Hussein Douale, Director of the Bilateral Relations Department, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs Acting Arab Department Director Ms. Hodan Musa, and the DP World Representative in Djibouti, Mr. Khalid Al Khalifa, and the Dean of Diplomacy, Kamel Kayaz. The delegation then visited the consultation where the first Secretary of the Ministry of United Arab Emirates flag housed within the presence of the senior official of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, including the Director of Bilateral Relations, Mr. Hussein Yassin Douale, and the Embassy of Kuwait charged in the affairs.
The fourth public meeting of the 70th Legislature Parliament's second regular 2015-2016 sessions has been held today, Sunday, at the National Assembly under the chairmanship of National Assembly President Mohammed Ali Hamad. The plenary session saw the participation of the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, ministers and all parliamentarians. During this session, several laws were on the agenda. These are the following bills, such as the first project number 104 2015 is about the scheme of Djibouti urban planning and development. This is a blueprint of the city, which is the result coordinated actions of various departments. It aims to promote a coherent urban development, harmonized and sustainable development of Djibouti. The main objective is divided into three specific parts, namely economic, which is to make Djibouti an African commercial and logistical hub; social objective, with the aim of enabling people to live better in an inclusive and better equipped city; and finally, the environmental objective, to preserve the environment for future generations. It translates the government sectoral policies for the 2035 Djibouti vision and taking into account the development of the country for the next 20 years with a review of every 5 years. And the second bill, number 123/2016, is ratifying the loan agreement for the program Resilience to Dryness and Development of Sustainable Livelihoods in the countries of the Horn of Africa. This project to more than 10,000 households in the region will help develop, improve, and strengthen sustainable livelihoods available to the rural population so that it can cope with the recurrent dryness, a result of climate change and the inherent food insecurity. The third project, number 126/2016, is ratifying the loan agreement for the project support to the achievement of socio-economic infrastructure and the promotion of economic activities in the region. This loan agreement is intended to support the 5 regions in the interior to improve the living conditions of the inhabitants and to reduce the development gap between regions and the capital through access to infrastructures. All these projects are in line with the policy of the government, driven under the leadership of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Murgele.
In this meeting, Ms. Amina Abdi Aden, Secretary of State in the charge of Housing, and Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Awale, Minister of Agriculture, Water and Fisheries Research, have been interrogated where they have provided detailed answers to the question asked by the honorary members. Ms. Amina Abdi Aden has expressed herself in replying that the third question posed by the Honorable Safia, referring to the implementation of the blueprint. The first question focus on the areas of extension retained to develop the housing, as it is the customary in this kind of exercise. Therefore, areas of housing retained in the surface that has been detained and focus on the urban growth of Djibouti. It is true that the Djibouti urban growth of 3.4%, and accordingly the figures of a surface that have been selected will allow us to develop on the horizon of the director blueprint approximately 15 miles housing units, which will therefore be necessary to meet the needs to housing. The third areas are the areas of South Balbala, Nagad and the Farahad. The areas of South Balbala, it has the most important land reserve of 2,500 housing. In the areas of Nagad, about 1,500 housing, and the areas of Farahad. We have privileged the construction in the height of this program that we retain 60% will be realized in the height of 4% must be received for the individual housing. As for the ministry, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Awale, question relating to the region which are not covered where only a part is covered, the minister has responded by the indicating because they are other projects that cover the region of Halle, Gob'a and Sadeh, the Wema and also Beya. the whole country is covered. It is for this reason that we have asked you to gather you for an information day, the minister has said. No region has been left out because all the basins of the country are covered. The Plains Grove, which has located in the region of Halle, there is no fuel of they are being dried out. Must we have the government who gives agricultural solar equipment? Should we also internally gives the fuels? I believe that it is because we are going to create mentally to take part. You have to contribute in order to pay for the fuel, has concluded the ministers.
First of its kind, the Arab-Indian Forum session at the level of foreign ministers has been held on Sunday in Manama, Bahrain. The Republic of Djibouti was represented by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, along with the Arab League Permanent Representative for Djibouti, Mr. Musa Muhammad Ahmed, and Mr. Muhammad Ali Wali, Arab Department Director at the Ministry. On the agenda, the ministers discussed on the ways and means to enhance cooperation between Arab countries and the Republic of India in various fields, including politics, economy, trade, energy, environmental protection, agriculture, food security, and education and health, keeping in mind that trade volume between Arab countries in India exceeded 200 billion US dollars. The head of the Djiboutian diplomacy underlined in his speech the historic links and common denominators between the Arab and the Indian nation, which will continue to exist between the two parties.
A new Djiboutian battalion of Soldier Hill No. 3 is about to leave for Somalia. An inspection ceremony of the Hill No. 3 battalion, which have replaced the Hill Battalion No. 1, was held this morning at the Mariama military camp. 700 soldiers from Battalion Hill 3 received their final instruction for their superior officers of the army. The Chief of Staff of the Army, Major General Ibrahim Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. This ceremony was placed under the auspice of Defense Minister Mr. Hassan Darar Mfani. This soldier will join AMISOM, the African Force peacekeeping base in Somalia, and will be stationed in Beledweyne. The Arta Prefect, President of the Regional Council, and many Djiboutian Army Forces officials attend this ceremony. These soldiers are responsible for ensuring the Somalia security and participate in the consolidation of its institution, who is facing repeatedly attacks by extremist insurgency movement Al-Shabaab. The Republic of Djibouti is actively involved in the restoration of Somalia state and strengthening its institution, remaining alongside their brothers.
Major General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim made a speech reminding the diverse victories accomplished by the Hill 1 Battalion in the region of Hiran, and he said that taking part of humanitarian action is deeply embedded in the DNA of the Djiboutian army forces, such as Haiti and Central Africa for the United Nations peacekeeping missions. The general said that the country has proud his military and they should uplift the image of their country with an exemplary attitude. The general has informed the army that the government was willing to give a complete retirement fund for the newly recruited soldiers in spite of their services. He finished his speech with the farewell prayer.
The Minister of Defense, Hassan Darar Humfane, was quite pleased to be present and meet his Djiboutian compatriot soldiers and his Somali brothers. He stressed during his intervention the action of President Gele and his government of restoring peace and stability in Somalia.
After Ali Adde, we will head to Adailu village tonight. For a while now, the capital doesn't have the national headline scoop. The reason is simple: the head of state willingness, who allowed to the rural regions to take advantage of the advanced technology in the field of development such as education, health and energy. Tonight the spotlights are heading to Adailu. Let's listen to Gasir Ali.
Known for its unique weather like Dai and Rwanda, to host a major holiday camp during the summer, which is the city of Djibouti, is difficult due to the heat. According to tradition, the Adailu village came from Adaili Har al-Mahis. It is located near the Waima, the rebel region of Ankara Empire. Adailu village is located to 63 kilometers from the town of Tajara. The number of its inhabitants is between 4,500 and 5,000 people, depending on the season. All its territory has an environment that is naturally made for agriculture, livestock, and tourism. There are fruit trees, gardens such as banana, mango, goyave, and date palms in the Girori village. The housing is mainly of permanent houses in the villages of Adailu and Asagela, and traditional houses as tukuls or daboita elsewhere. The main sub-areas are such as Asagela, Wabeita, Silalmia, Adoila, Mioi, Tairan, Diri, Afdaba, Girori, Goria, and Dafeimatu. The locality of Adailu has a primary school with 170 students originally from Adailu and its surrounding villages. The school is also Adailu attended by 80 children from the Adoita villages. These children do travel about 20 kilometers to get their everyday schools. As the head of state has said in his word, Adailu region has seen the infrastructure has doubled in diverse areas. The primary school extension and the college construction of a new maternity and the realization of a new dwelling site were made. As the head of state has underlined in his speech, he inspired the economical conductor in the past. His engagement have been realized. The following report read draws the major project who have seen the light in the region, but also transform the lives of the average Adailu people. Let's watch it for more details. Upon his arrival to the highest office, the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Margele, had made a tour throughout the country and had gone in Adailu locality in September 2002. All enthusiastically by his re-election at the head of state, and the country resident in Adailu reserved a very warm welcome to the head of state, as you can see from this picture.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله.
In a speech to the people of the Great Wehrmain Adelu, and the head of state has made a formal commitment to intervene in the field of health, education and water. Already at that time, the president has a large fixed axis of its political action for the people of Adelu. It is in this spirit that we consult you, said the president, for be closer to you and maintain a discussion in order to identify together solutions to the various problems affecting our country for the well-being of our people. Water's problem in the region is a new challenge that came with other challenges, but now the president has added that the bodies and government concerned to work together to find solutions as quickly as possible. It should also be noted that the president has encouraged our population in increasing day by day. Finally, the president recalled that it was the duty of everyone to participate in development of the country to become independent from the outside and carry us towards self-sufficiency in the socio-economic areas of our nation state. This participation, the president, must come from all of us and all of the forces of our countries, men, women and youth.
The head of state will usher a new solar plant that will supply the village with electricity. A realization, as you can see on the pictures, has already finished. It has a capacity of the life of Adelu will turn quite soon. This is a clean energy source which will replace the old groups whose interviews beginning to become difficult. But it's not all. That will be an opportunity for the president to meet with the inhabitants of this town. He had come in his speech promised to return whenever it is possible for meetings. This is what one could say tonight on tour.
The RTD. The President of the Republic will establish a development plan inappropriate from this locality infrastructure that benefit from his development figure prominently. Education for President of the Republic. All children in this town must benefit equally, all the children and other localities of education. That is how the school 6 places Adelu with 170 students, Spain 12 classes with nearly 400 children to curb family and migration to urban areas to campaign their children. Adelu benefit from the construction of a college. As to the health component, Adelu Clinic will benefit from an extension taking into account a maternity service to avoid the evacuation to the city every woman who gives birth. The problems of water will be absorbed to the establishment of a new dwelling and a water supply for the village of Adelu will therefore supply drinking water with the construction of a water tower on the top of the cliff with plenty of water for agriculture areas with gardens and machineries will emerge. Adelu's communication channel will be redeveloped, will benefit from a more fluid accessibility and thereby see its improvised land stock strongly action in favor of the inhabitants of Adelu does not stop the sports complex currently under construction for the benefit of youth in promoting sports. Finally, the GCM network has been installed in Adelu, which facilitates telephone communication with the villages. The RTD technical staff has sent us the images. They are doing their best so that the whole Republic follows the events in live. It's a challenge the Djiboutian radio television is taking every day in despite of the remoteness of the transmission areas, Adelu and the surrounding mountains, which is not going to be a major tax, not only the Djiboutian radio television, but also the whole Adelu village is waiting so urgently the arrival of the head of state tomorrow. Few people have spoke their mind about the event and the forthcoming of the president this day. They will historically moment for everyone.
The head of state will tomorrow inaugurate the new solar plant that will enlighten the whole village in electricity. An achievement you can see on the images. This solar plant has a capacity of, and of course it will change the lives of the average Adelu villagers, and it will replace the old electrical motor which was becoming rusty and difficult to repair. The opening of the Century Soul Pen is not the main visit objective of the head of state visit. He has promised in his speech to meet Adelo inhabitants in any momentous moment, and tomorrow's inaugural event will go down in the pages of history. This is all about Adelo and the head of state visit.
Moving on to the international level, as more migrants are on their way to the promised land to find a better life, the Islamic State militant came in Europe and basically Germany for a hidden agenda. Let's listen for the following videos. This is it for this edition. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful evening.